Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK.
And I'm Courtney.
And Courtney, how are you?
Well, if you look at me, you think I'm doing much better than reality.
Which is
My
funny
hair
because if
is
you look at me, you probably think I'm having a rough week, and I'm really not.
we are just masking in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, my hair just looks dirty for days. My mom, bless her heart, I love her dearly, bought fancy shampoo for me while I was home. I just got back from my parents, and it was for dry, frizzy hair,
Oh.
which has not ever been my hair. And she told me that's not what she bought. And then I read the bottle and I was like, this is what you bought. And it was fine. But so my hair is just like creating this disaster in my life now.
It's okay.
But I'm okay. Like I said, I was just at my parents for the week, which was nice because I haven't seen them since I've been back. I got my car. I am mobile again. The dream. And I forgot everything I was going to say. It's okay. So I went back home because also my dad's in a cover band, or is it? They do write originals, but they do mostly covers for those of you that don't know, called Blackwater Break. And it's super fun. They do a lot of like classic rock, some like older country, and then they do some newer stuff too. Like they cover like Tennessee whiskey and stuff, some of the regular ones you would expect. And so we went to see that show, which was really fun. And I just spent the week there. My mom is getting her house redone, and so that's always fun to see. But she's got this new idea that's interesting. So the middle bathroom that's like my bathroom is super white. The way that she's redone it, it's very cute. It's very pretty. It has like wavy walls, and it's got like a really like cute mirror and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But she's decided she wants to go shower curtainless, doorless. Which just means you create a puddle on the floor.
Yeah.
The entire floor. And she's she was like, I don't want to mess it up because, curtains start looking dingy. And she was like, the doors get stuck in like crevices.
That's why you have a curtain and then you have a pretty one on the outside, and then you just replace the plastic curtain when it gets dingy, but the pretty one on the outside doesn't get dirty.
Right.
And then your bathroom's not
wet.
And
she has a washable one. She always gets a washable curtain. It's not like you can't fix it the way she does it, but she doesn't think it looks as clean. And so she's trying it without. When I tell you, so that's another reason my hair looks crazy.
Here's the thing about that though. Like, she says she doesn't think it looks as clean, but me, if I were to walk into someone's house and they didn't have a shower curtain in their bathroom, my thought wouldn't be, oh, look how streamlined it is in here. I'd be like, how the fuck do they shower?
That is what everyone has said, including me, who has showered in the shower. And the first day I showered in there, I ended up showering in my mom's shower most of the time, but I did shower the first day in there.
Yeah.
Just a pond. I created a new pond in my parents' bathroom. And so I like threw towels down, obviously everywhere. And my mom was like, yeah, you get the floor wet, but then you just wipe it up. And I was like, it's a pond. I have to soak it up and then wipe the floor. It's like I have to mop every time I shower.
Yeah.
That's not what I'd like to do. And then I tried to do it. So she was showering. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll just do a bath because like my back was hurting. So I was doing like bath salts and stuff. And so I tried to wash my hair in the bath. Never a good idea. Do not wash your hair in the bath. I know this. I'm 31 years old. I know this. But I was going to do it anyway, so I wouldn't make a huge mess.
Yeah.
And so I did like my shampoo in the bath, and I was like, I want to kill myself. And so then I just made a huge mess in the bathroom again. But it does look very nice. I will conform and say, but practicality.
No.
It is only good for bubble baths. That is it. So yeah, I'm just in like a super family mindset right now, which is not why I'm a disaster. Just my hair, not my family. It's fine. But yeah, how are you?
I mean, I'm good. I know I've been telling everyone about this sweater forever, but I'm finally wearing it. It is my Adam Sandler's Eras Tour sweatshirt. It's a little weird because the part where it says tour, the like screen printing got fucked up. But to be fair, no one reads it. They just look at the 50 pictures of Adam Sandler and they're like, oh, cool. Like,
and also like it feels right for it to be messed up.
Right. Like it's Adam Sandler. It's a hot mess.
Yeah, no.
I mean, he's got whipped cream on his nipples. So
yeah.
No, I'm good. Speaking of things that are a hot mess, but I'm obsessed. I went to a concert this week.
Oh my God, I was so jealous. I forgot. I was so jealous.
I woke up Friday morning and I walked downstairs to get coffee, whatever. I slept way past when my parents went to work because I was a hot mess. Um,
Sure.
and I look, and sitting on the bookshelf in the hall is 2 tickets and a parking pass for Art Park. And so I'm on the phone with my mom talking about something else, and I go, "Oh, are you guys going to the concert tonight?" And she goes, "Yeah." She goes, your dad said he might have 2 extra tickets, and he asked if there was anybody who wanted to go." And I was like, "I don't know, unless you want to ask Mary Kate and Dan, I don't really know who I would take." And I go, "Because I'm your only friend." She goes, "I mean, basically." And she goes, "But I'm not 100% sure. Let me call him and make sure that Vinny didn't actually like give the tickets away." And I was like, "Okay." So then I'm on the phone with Dan and I was like, "Hey, we're gonna go to a concert tonight." And he goes, "I don't know that band." And I go, "Yes,
Dan
you."
is a serial killer.
And I said, "Yes, you do." And I start listing songs to him. He goes, "Okay, well, I know those three."
You probably know at least 10 of
He
their
sang
songs.
he sang every song the whole time we were at the concert. And I go, "Oh, I thought
Even
you
people
didn't."
that don't know a lot of songs know at least 10 songs.
And I was like, "Oh, I thought you didn't know any songs." And he was like, "Not by name. You know how I am with words." And I go,
That's Rachel.
but for those of you who don't follow me on Instagram, you should. But also, the band I went to see was fucking Train.
What a wild time. I was like not prepared. I was not prepared.
It was so good. So good.
I didn't even watch the video. I saw your lyrics that you posted and I was like, oh my God, she's a train. It's like, what
oh
has
no,
happened?
yeah, it was just a picture. It wasn't a video.
Oh, I did. Okay.
But
I don't
yeah.
watch
But
videos.
I just put the lyrics in case but I was like, I'm dead. That was the closing number, was Drops of Jupiter,
Of
and
course it was.
it was
Of course it
amazing.
was.
The best when they sang "Marry Me," Dan took a video of me singing the whole song to him. I've already decided, spoilers, that at the wedding, when the DJ is about to end, I'm gonna have them clear the dance floor and we have our first dance, but I'm gonna have a last dance of the night, and that's what it's gonna be.
I love that. I love
I
that so much.
Yeah.
Oh,
But it was amazing. Their opener is a band called Yacht Rock Review. That's just like guys in
yeah.
70s bowling shirts playing
I'm
yacht
familiar.
rock. And I was
Yeah.
like, this is the vibe. This is the fucking vibe.
I've told you that's the thing this year. I don't get it. I don't know why it's called yacht rock. I think it's a stupid name for it. That is what everyone wants this year. Music supervisors, bands, it's insane. It's insane.
It's dad rock for middle-aged white men who have
Right.
boats. Like that's what yacht rock means.
That is literally it. Yeah.
But it's the vibe. It is my vibe. I'm a middle-aged
Yeah.
white man, apparently.
Right. Yes.
But what I was gonna say, so I started asking Courtney a question off air, and then I said, "Hold on, wait, I want you to explain this to me on air." So
Oh, yeah.
we were talking about what happens when a band plays songs that aren't actually theirs live. So, Train does a lot of that, and they do like just like pieces of it. So like during one of their songs, they like do a medley, and they have the chorus of Hosier's Too Sweet mixed into their song, which I fucking love that song too.
The
And
best.
then they do one of their other songs. They have it like remixed with the Joker. And so like
Like the
I'm a Joker,
country
I'm
rock one.
Midnight,
Yeah.
yeah.
Steve Miller Band. I was like, who sings
Yes.
that song?
Yeah. Also, Pat Monahan's 12-year-old son came out and sang Led Zeppelin in the concert, and it was fucking amazing. This kid is, first of all, kid has pipes. So, second of all, 12-year-old with the fucking balls of a grown man on stage singing a Led Zeppelin song by himself. His dad's up back behind him on the drums. And then he goes and starts throwing hats to the crowd like he's a fucking professional. And I was like, I know a lot of 12-year-olds. I don't know a single one who can fucking do that.
No, I couldn't probably do that. I mean,
Well,
I cannot sing it, but I know that I get up there and throw hats.
But
Like
that's what Dan goes, "I have the voice. Could never catch me up there doing that ever." And I was like, right.
Yeah.
No, it was
sure.
amazing. It was fucking amazing. I loved it. I have always loved Train. Like I know people
Me
like
too.
make fun of Train, and I know that Train has officially become like dad rock, but like when I was a kid and I didn't listen to a lot of pop music, like the things that like my parents were comfortable listening with too, and that they also liked, like I listened to Train with my mom all the time as a kid. Like at one point he sang one of the songs from the 1998 album, and he goes, "Who here's old enough to remember this song?" And I was like, who here isn't? And Dan's
Right.
like, you remember an album from 1998? I go, I was 6, not 2. I have fucking
Right.
memories. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, so it was amazing. Pat Monahan is the fucking life of the party. He's been singing his fucking like rock for 31 years and still sounds like a teenager. Like it's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, he
Ugh,
doesn't look
I'm
like a
so
teenager. He
jealous.
looks like a 55-year-old man now. But he doesn't. He sounds like when he sings his stuff from the 90s, it sounds like when he sang it in the 90s. Like it doesn't. He has his voice has not changed.
One of my favorite songs by them, which I want to be my karaoke song, but is a lot of breathing, is 50 Ways to Say Goodbye.
Oh,
It's one of my favorites.
yes. No, you know what? The song that like just I forgot how much I liked it, and it was such a fucking vibe live was "Save Me, San Francisco."
Oh my God,
Yeah,
great. I'm gonna have to listen to that today.
yeah.
That's on my list now.
It was a
I
fucking
have a
vibe.
good I
And
have a playlist today.
they're new. They had one of their newer songs at the concert, the Long Yellow Dress.
I haven't
Fuck.
listened to that
Oh
album
my God,
yet.
it's good. Such a vibe.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed.
Do you
So
want my teaching moment that you were
yes,
asking for and then left?
yes, yes,
Um,
yes, yes.
so the way it works, if you do a straight cover, it's covered by a compulsory license. And so as long as you register it correctly as a release, you don't have to get permission to do it.
Okay.
If you're performing it on a stage, there's a license, a blanket license each performance venue has under ASCAP, BMI, which are all the performing rights organizations, et cetera. There's a few more right now, but those are the two big ones. And so they get licenses from these companies. And so the songwriters are actually compensated. And because it's compulsory, they don't have to approve it, that you're singing it that way. For medleys, they are technically samples. Most people just kind of let it go for medleys, will just approve without thinking too much about it. They're just like, you sing 50% of my song and 50% of someone else's. Great. I have 50% of this mashup now. Like that's usually the situation.
Okay.
No one really catches it live, but like I worked on, so what is the One Direction one that is not Niall, Zayn, or Harry?
Liam or Liam Payne, Niall, Liam, Payne. What the fuck is the other
The
one?
other one. It's the other one. So the other one sampled Baba O'Reilly in the middle. They did a mashup of Baba O'Reilly in the middle of one of the new songs about love. I can't remember what we do for lovers. I don't know. I don't remember. This was 6 months ago.
Oh, Louis Tomlinson. That's
Louis Tomlinson. So I was like, the other one.
the other one, which is so funny
yeah.
because I was like, yeah, no, Liam. Wait, no, not that one. There's
That's
another
not
one.
it, no.
There's a fucking other one.
So it's I will say this song that he does is really good. I don't know if it was a One Direction song or if it's just a solo song he does, but he did Bob O'Reilly in the middle. And so they sent it to our office to clear the sample of it. And, you negotiate whatever before release. But like the whole time he's been performing it at his shows, it just kind of was let go.
Yeah.
Like the attorneys didn't get brought in until it was getting an official release.
That makes sense.
Which is the same thing with like, I don't know this for sure because I don't work with Andy Grammer, unfortunately. But he does a mashup of one of his songs with Crazy in Love by Beyonce. And I would hedge to bet that he has not gotten that cleared because I have worked with Beyonce splits and those never get fully cleared until she gets ready to release an album. So since he hasn't released an album, I'm going to guess nobody's done anything about it. But that's kind of the situation with samples and covers. Totally fair game. Every now and then there's a bit of a different say in like the UK because they have moral rights and we don't have those here. But that's your music licensing sampling lesson for today.
Love that. Since you are giving us actual real life lessons, do you mind also giving us a emotional lesson?
I would love to. I am so glad I saved so many last week because I totally forgot that was a thing I had to do. So I'm going to take you into a fantasy world because why stay in this true life world? Fairy tales are more than true, not because they tell us that dragons exist, but because they tell us that dragons can be beaten. Neil Gaiman.
I have some mixed feelings because I've always loved Neil Gaiman, but apparently he was accused of being of some
No,
SA recently, and somebody was
not
like,
today.
one of my friends was like, there is no one left alive that we can look up to except for them. And he was like, I stand by it. The Muppets are the only good people left. And someone was like, do you know how many people inside of Muppets have been accused?
Truly though. Truly though.
So yeah, I don't know what became of that. It was a couple weeks ago and I just saw the headline and then nobody I seemed to be talking about it anymore after that. So I don't know if it was like a crazy fan that wasn't true or if it was definitely true and people swept it under the rug because they didn't want it to be true or like what happened. But
Great. Sorry that my life advice has come from a bad place, potentially.
I mean, most of my life advice comes from a bad place. I quote TV
That's
shows
true.
as my only life advice.
That's true.
So yeah.
I just thought it was really nice.
No, it was great advice and I love it. And then I just remembered that we had talked about that and I didn't know if you knew.
Yeah. I didn't. I hadn't seen that. I'm the
Upsetting.
last to know a lot of times, so I appreciate when you keep me up to date.
It's upsetting. It's okay. You know that Joe Biden dropped out of the presidential election, right?
I did know that.
Okay, that
I
one.
did know that. I was about an hour late on that. But
I found out about 13 minutes after it happened. I was the one who broke it to Dan, and he goes, "Wow, you were on top of the news." I go, "I'm gonna be honest." Russell Brand posted it on Instagram, and he goes,
Rachel saw it on TikTok first. She was the first one because she saw it on TikTok. I
Yeah.
get like I don't know.
I was like Russell Brand is where I get all of my political information from. Whether that is a good or bad thing, I have yet to decide. But I do only get political news from Russell Brand.
Yeah, I am somehow signed up with all of the Republican and all of the Democratic text messages.
Did you get one about Donald Trump Jr. yesterday? Because I did.
Probably. I only semi-read them, but Rachel had already told me about Joe Biden, so I didn't like really read it when it came up. But
I got one.
Yeah, I got one on Friday about Donald Trump Jr.
I got a picture of Donald Trump Jr. in my text messages.
This one?
Yeah, that exact text.
Yep.
But then I also got a friend request on Facebook from Elon Musk yesterday. So
what a day.
What a fucking day. Speaking of
this
weird
is
shit.
75 hours long.
Yeah, speaking of weird shit that it's because the episode won't be that long to talk about.
That's true.
Stargate SG-1 season 6, episode 8. The Other Guys. It came out on August 2nd, 2002. Also, I watched the episode today, but I took my opening notes a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, so I'm not sure if I even know what I wrote. So
cool. I actually took quite a bit of notes for this one. I hope I know what they say.
Great. It was rated 8.1 stars.
That feels a little high.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't terrible, but that just feels a little high.
It does. But we'll talk about some reasons for that. The same book and song were the number ones because it's summer and things don't tend to change about music over the summer, which is weird. That's why there is a Song of the Summer ordeal.
Right. I think that's so strange, but it is true. I just think it's strange.
Yeah. The number one movie is a movie we have in fact talked about on this podcast. Not like reviewed on this podcast, but talked about on this podcast because the number one movie, because it came out on August 2nd, 2002, was M. Night Shyamalan's Signs.
Love a Shyamalan. Love a Shyamalan.
I was like, Signs. We don't even have to talk about it. We've definitely talked about it before.
For sure. Well, I just watched it for the first time like 2 years ago.
Did you?
Like, I'm new to Signs, but I've seen it, but I am new to it, like, surprisingly.
The news made me really depressed because it was actually just like reading the news this week. The two big news stories were about conflict in the Middle East and churches in court for settlements and sexual abuse. And I was like, oh, great. So it's
same
2024.
Same. 22 years later, we are still talking about the same thing.
Correct.
Excellent.
This episode was directed by Martin Wood, written by Damien Kindler, which seems like a new name, but it's not. He has not been around for a while, but he wrote the episode in season 1 where two, three, I don't remember, the one where Daniel gets falls in love with the like evil lady and goes into the sarcophagus 87 times.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want you to know, falls in love with the evil lady, not enough context. Goes to the sarcophagus 87 times, enough context.
Correct. That's why I needed both parts of that.
Right.
I will say also in my journey through There's No Place Like Tara, Grace, the one who is
That's what I was going to tell you. I listened to the first episode this week.
aren't they funny?
They are funny. I like them. Highly
So
recommend.
Grace is the one who's like you who hasn't seen it.
Mhm.
I'm in the middle of season 2, and she very much describes Daniel as Daniel, the one who sometimes remembers he has a wife. And and I was like
Heard.
Yeah. Yes. And it was edited by Brad Rines. The guest star that we're going to talk about is Patrick McKenna, who played Jay Folger. He's known for The Red Green Show, Traders, RoboCop, and Stargate.
What is the Red Green Show?
That's a great question. I've heard of it before.
It feels like a British improv show.
It does.
That is all of the information I have. So I don't know. Actually, don't.
It is a Canadian television program that is a sitcom from the 90s that very much in looks kind of looks like Home Improvement meets the Beverly Hillbillies. Red Green is a character's name in the show. He's like a Canadian
like
fisherman.
Brett Foreman.
Yeah, but it's like an old school Canadian fisherman.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, like that's the show.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Not what I was picturing at all.
No. You were picturing more like 8 out of 10 cats or some shit like that.
Right.
Yeah. He has done a lot of voiceover and Canadian TV. He is from Hamilton, Ontario. He's a member of Toronto's Second City Comedy Troupe, and he's done a lot of charity work for like all kinds of health conditions, including lupus, adult ADHD, and wheelchair athletes. He was at one point temporarily paralyzed, and I can't remember why, but he was in a wheelchair, and so he was like, then he got like really into that. And also I believe he has a family members that have lupus. And so like he's done a lot of stuff, but like for like charities for health conditions specifically, because they all are things that like personally affected him. Yeah. Yeah. So that is the show or the intro. We start this episode with a Jaffa going to his Goa'uld Lord, and they're planning to ambush and kidnap SG-1. And that is everything that happens before the credits.
Yeah.
So, we have a lot of information coming into this. Also, for context, I usually write about 6 to 7 pages of notes. I have 3.5 for this episode. So that's why I was not worried.
A page.
That's why I was not worried about how long our intro was. So after the credits, we have 3 scientists, and they're looking at some tech and studying it. And one of them is like weirdly obsessed with SG-1. He like can't stop fangirling over the fact that like SG-1 is there with them. And he's like, I wonder what they're talking about. And it goes over to Jack and Teal'c, who are just talking about hockey.
Yeah. I want you to know, I meant to look sooner, but I didn't realize till this second what this episode was. I had forgotten. I was thinking it was a different episode.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, no.
It's okay. I'm with you now. You now. I know this episode in my brain.
So the one who's creepy and obsessed with him, his name's Felger, and he continues to awkwardly like fangirl over Jack, who clearly just feels like mad that he's on babysitting duty. He like has no desire to be any part of this. There's some good dialogue in this episode, but plot wise, it's really not that complicated to go through. Sam radios Jack and says that Hammond called. So Jack and Teal'c go over to Sam and they tell Felger to stay there. And if he and Teal'c don't come back in an hour, the whole science team needs to pack up and go home. So the other guys, as this episode is named after, are now arguing about Star Trek and bickering about what to do and whether they should listen to Jack or not when a mothership flies over them.
I'm so in 1,000 places. I'm not as upset that this episode was 8.1. I think it might still be a little high, but I'm not as upset because I did.
You were thinking it was the next episode and you were like, that's too high.
I was thinking it was the episode before.
Oh, yeah, no, with the
shadow or something.
The guy with the schizophrenia. Yeah, no, that one was not, that one was not that high. No, that one was only 7.2.
Which makes more sense.
Yes.
Makes more sense. I actually did like this episode.
No, I like this episode a lot. It's not a plot heavy episode. It's a really nice
Right.
middle of the season one-off episode that like helps push the plot of the greater story without really having to be a plot heavy episode, and it just kind of gives you something like silly and fun to do when you need
comedic relief.
Yeah, it's that mid-season you need a one-off episode that is a little main character light, and so you do something like that. It's great. I think there's much more like in sci-fi. There's especially like not like Doctor Who almost always has a Doctor Light episode in the season where there's something that focuses on the companion, this is like the Doctor Light episode where like yes the SG-1 is in it, but they're not really.
But it doesn't really matter that they're.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And also, this might be my favorite Jack dialogue episode of the season. But so Jack radios to the guys and tells them to wait till it's clear and go home. But Felger runs in after them anyway because he is an idiot. And he sees SG-1 being taken by the Jaffa. So he freaks out and decides that he and Coombs, the other scientist, who we have seen Coombs before, never as like a major character, but he was in the one episode where they were on the planet and the electricity was like attacking them, and they had to like hide in that one building and use the Zat gun. He was one of the scientists in that situation. So he's been like in and out. He's always kind of like the second scientist when we need scientists. Yeah. But never a main character.
Always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Right. Always a red shirt. He always a red shirt, but never actually, because he never actually dies. Which
right. That's what I hear.
I know. I was laughing because I was like, so these Star Trek jokes in this episode, I wonder if you actually get any of them.
Some of them I got. I don't remember all of them, but some of them I got, but only because you've mentioned them before. Like not from, or like it's pop culture enough that like I've heard it in passing because I am into the, sci-fi world. Like, but probably not as much as some other people liked them.
Right. But like as he was like yelling and he's like, how can you even call yourself a scientist if you don't worship at the altar of Roddenberry? And I was like, this is so niche. I don't even know how to like handle it.
Yeah, that meant nothing to me.
Gene Roddenberry is the creator of Star Trek.
Oh, that makes so much more sense.
Yes.
Everything tracks.
So they decide that they're going to ring up to the mothership and save SG-1 themselves. And they go up to the ship, and the ship is kind of weirdly empty in the hallways. I'm not going to lie, their ability to navigate this ship without Jaffa in it was wild to me.
Also, the number of times they go into a ship and they're like, it's mostly empty, everything's fine. No, it is never fine. It is always a trap, 100% of the time.
Yeah. So Myers, the third scientist, he gets sent back to SGC to like fill Hammond in on what's happening, and he tells Hammond what the idiots he works with did, and Hammond is not thrilled. Of course, at this point, we still don't understand why everyone is so mad about it, but we'll get there. SG-1 is sitting in their cell, waiting, and my favorite was Sam was like, Jonas, you're not smiling. And he was like, why would I be smiling right now? She's like, well, because, it's the first time. Because if you remember, every time something happens this season, and Jonas is like, oh, this is the first time I've done this. This is the first time I've done this. And she's like, it's the first time you've been captured by the cold.
Yeah.
And he's like, why are we, like, not trying to escape? And Jack's like, just wait. Just wait. So Harak, who is the Goa'uld, the Jaffa that we see in the opening scene, comes in, and he's like gloating, and he says he thought SG-1 would have been more difficult to capture, but they were so easy and blah blah blah, and he's so much better than them. And Jack is like continuing to snark and make jokes about the whole fucking situation.
You said his name is Harak?
Harak, yeah.
Oh, I thought they were saying Hinrock. That's what I wrote down.
But yeah, no, I mean, and Jack is typically snarky, like that's kind of his jam, but he's like particularly making a joke out of all of this. And it's like,
Yeah.
until you know what's going on, you're like, am I being punked?
Am I drunk? Like, what is happening right now?
So then all of a sudden, so Felger and Coombs are still continuing to search the ship, and all of a sudden they find the vent in the holding cell and are like trying to come through. And Jack, like, they take the wall down and find them in the vent, and Jack basically is like, you are an absolute fuckwit and you are going to ruin everything. Because
Yeah.
turns out SG-1 got captured on purpose. Because the system lord that they are trying to talk to is Tok'ra.
Yeah.
But
Also,
his Jaffa don't know that.
no, but I think that he is also secretly Ashley Angel Parker in the 90s.
That was the most 90s outfit. His outfit was the most 90s
and his
outfit
eyeliner,
his hair looked like Lance Bass without frosted tips. Like, it was fucking wild.
I looked at him and I was like, Ashley Angel Parker. That is who this person is. I don't care who they think they are. That is who they are. Yeah, that's all I could think about because I just put in my notes, Ashley Angel is Tok'ra?
Yeah, right?
No idea.
So they explain that Khonsu, the Ashley Parker Angel, is an undercover Tok'ra, and he has info, and that the science team wasn't supposed to be there. They were supposed to already be back at SGC, and the timing of the confirmation of information from the Tok'ra was just wrong, and that the whole point of them staying there was to go back, because they should not be involved in this.
Well, God, my joke fell flat. I couldn't think of a scientific duo that drops the ball every time off the top of my head.
I don't know.
I know. I wanted to be like Tom and Jerry, but that's not what I meant. So I'm sorry. I wanted to be funny and I messed
And
up.
it wasn't. I wanted to be funny, but I just can't.
I know.
A free Jaffa comes in to check with them, and I can't remember what the free Jaffa's name was. I feel so bad because by the time I remembered that I needed to look up his name, he was dead, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So he comes in to check with them, and Jack is like, hey, while you're here, can you fucking watch these two idiots? Because I don't know what to do with them, and they're gonna bunk the whole plan.
Yeah.
So then Harak is calling to Khonsu, and he's like, I have the prisoners, and Khonsu's like, okay, and he's like, should I interrogate them for you? And Khonsu's like, no, just like bring them to me, whatever. And he seems very butthurt that he doesn't get to torture these humans.
Yeah. Flotsam and jetsam.
So
nice.
I was thinking of the Two Old Men Muppets.
Oh yeah,
Statler and Waldorf.
Statler and Waldorf. Yeah, but they're not cranky. They're Flotsam and Jetsam.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of like fumbling around all the time.
Pain and Panic.
Evil. Pain and Panic. That's what I wanted. That is exactly because I was like Hercules. There's something in Hercules. I can't remember what it is.
Pain and Panic, because the one leading the skinny one is the one leading the way, but he's really kind of the one more likely to fuck up. But then the chubby one is just saying dumb shit. Yeah, they're definitely Pain and Panic.
Thank you. That is exactly what I wanted.
So the free Jaffa hides Felger and Coombs. And then Harak brings the rest of the SG-1 team to a new cell with like security walls that injure you. And we go back to Felger and Coombs, who are hiding in a storage room and complaining and continuing to fight about who they are in Star Trek and how they're going to die. When the free Jaffa comes back to like help them, but before they can actually do anything, a bunch of the other Jaffa just fucking kill the two free Jaffa.
Yeah.
And Felger and Coombs are like, this doesn't feel like what Jaffa do for fun. Something's going on here. So they take the dead Jaffa's clothes, which, to be fair, smartest thing they do in the whole episode. Take the dead Jaffa's clothes and pretend to be Jaffa to get around the base to figure out what to do. And they even do the intelligent thing of having Coombs take his glasses off whenever they're around large groups, because a Jaffa wouldn't need glasses. Your symbiote would fix your eyesight.
Right.
Of course, he can't see shit, so whenever he he has to put it back on. But In Khonsu's chambers, Harrock is there and he's like, where are the prisoners? And Harrock's like, the jig is up, my dude. And he kills Khonsu. And he reveals the secrets to all the other Jaffa and says that Anubis is on his way.
Dun, dun, dun.
And then SG-1 is brought into the throne room, and they're like, "Where's Khonsu?" And Herrick tells them, "I killed him. You guys suck." And he tortures Jack. And then we get my absolute favorite moment of the whole episode, where Jack, while in the middle of being tortured, gets pissy about grammar. Which, for some reason, is like the third time this season, Jack's only defense has been that somebody fucked their grammar up. And I don't know what happened, but I'm all about it.
That's like one of my last notes on here.
Yeah. When he was like, you ended that with a preposition. I was like, yes. Back at SGC, Myers and Hammond are discussing the nature of the mission and the fact that like nothing can be done. And Myers is like really upset about it. He's like, he was like, Stargate doesn't leave people behind. And Hammond is like, we don't, unless it's going to literally kill every other soldier we have just to go get them. Like, if SG-1's going to get out of it, they're going to get out of it. They've done it before, but I can't risk the entire rest of the base for this. That's the whole reason this operation had to be undercover in the first place. So back on the other planet, Felger and Coombs continue moving through up the pyramid, and they get to the control room. They take down the shields, and Felger brings weapons and guns to the SG-1. And they get all the information they need to break out. They get out of the ship. Again, lots of conversations happen during all that whole sequence of events, but whatever. Then Coombs tries to head out to meet up with them, but turns out the Jaffa are surrounding the control room, and he is stuck inside.
Yeah.
So SG-1 outside take out all the Jaffa surrounding the gate, including having Teal'c use a fucking like staff weapon cannon and just fucking blow people up. Wild. Coombs radios to Jay to tell him what's going on. And the weird thing is when I like suddenly started using Simon and Jay instead of Coombs and Felger, even though nowhere else in this did I do that. So don't know what happened there. SG-1 clears the gate area, and then Jack and Teal'c bring back. They save. That's where I wrote they save Simon. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? They all get out alive. And then back at SGC, there's a ceremony where Coombs and Felger are given valor medals, for civilian valor medals for their help saving SG-1, and Jack calls them heroes, and Sam starts kissing Jay, and then it turns out he was dreaming, and he and Simon are in the lab working on the transporter.
I want you to know, so I think I texted you this when I was watching it, but I was having a very scattered day, much like today. And so I watched it and then didn't watch it and had to restart it. And this particular scene, I watched like 5 times because I was like, I know that this isn't real, but I'm having a really hard time putting it in my brain that it's not. Like, it was just like not.
Well, and so here's the interesting thing. This is one of the things I wanted to talk about this episode and why it was rated as high as it is and everything. When it was written and edited and directed and designed, the only scene that is not actually happening is the medal awards and on.
Right.
Like that is what Jay is dreaming about. Mm-hmm. However, Joseph Malozzi has said that the whole episode was never intended to be a dream, but a lot of people have written a lot of good analysis on the internet to make it, to explain why it could be that this entire episode is a dream. And he's like, I'm not going to go ahead and say that that's true because that wasn't the intention, but some of the analysis for that is fucking believable. So like, he's like, go with it either way you want. You can say that the end sequence is a dream, or you can say the whole episode's a dream and that's still canon.
Yeah. Yeah, because it makes sense. I mean, it doesn't add anything that's gonna matter. Like, it adds to the story, to an extent. And of course, we get the Chokra storyline, of course. Yeah. But like, if this episode was just removed, it's totally fine. Like, so I like it. I like it both ways. I honestly think it makes more sense if it's a whole dream, because I feel like you're not gonna, put pain and panic in a situation like this, they would
Right.
not have been brought all the way through.
Correct.
Like especially because the team had such a good handle, like this was all pre-planned, so it wasn't like they actually got captured. They had enough forethought that they could have made sure they didn't actually stay there.
Yeah.
I feel like, and so that already felt a little off for why this episode needed to happen. I know it was for comedic relief. I know it wasn't meant to be like
Yeah.
this whole big thing, but it would actually make more sense if it was a dream because it doesn't really make sense that they were still there. And
Yeah.
being around the team so much, being fanboys, like, of course, this is what they're going to dream about. Like, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I see, I didn't ever think it was a dream other than the last part, but I could totally see
how it both
why everyone
ways.
would
I
think
can
so.
see it both ways. It's part of it is because Jack is so particularly witty that it almost feels like it's like someone's fantastical dreams about him.
Yeah.
Because also, like, if you were a nerd who was obsessed with this guy, why wouldn't you like then also be fantasizing about him getting mad
Right.
about grammar during battles? Like, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, so I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I think it does make more sense if the whole thing's not a dream just because of the Toker
Yeah.
aspect to it. But I kind of like the idea that these two like that Jay is just sitting there doing his work, pretending that he's on a mission.
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
So some trivia. Actually, I have a fucking ton of trivia for this episode.
Oh, I'm excited.
So Kansu, the actor who is Ashley Parker Angel but isn't Ashley Parker Angel, actually appeared in the pilot episode as one of the Goa'uld working for Apophis. And it is never canonly stated, but it is believed that it is the same person. But we were never introduced to the Tok'ra until season 2, so we wouldn't have had any way to know
Reference
that.
point. Yeah.
Yeah. This episode has an absolute fuck ton of Star Trek trivia in it. I'm not going to go through every Easter egg because that wouldn't mean anything to you. But one of the more subtle Easter eggs is that in the throne room, when in the scene where all the weapons are hanging up on the wall, one of them is a Klingon Backlath, which is like the thing that the Klingons use in Star Trek, like their weapon.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Very Star Trek heavy episode.
Yeah. Hinky is in fact a word in the dictionary, just in case anyone was wondering.
Did I write that down? Because I did. I wrote right here. It's a small note. I was like, I'm pretty sure hinky is a word. Like,
hinky is a word in the dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
In case anyone was confused about that piece of dialogue. In addition, we talked about the Never a Dream. After this episode, so like I said, Damian Kindler, this is not his first episode on the series, but he was just a guest writer. This episode actually secured his spot. He will now be a permanent part of the writing team moving forward. This episode was
good for him.
Was his thing. And then this is the last piece of trivia, but it is my favorite piece of trivia. It's one of my favorite Stargate pieces of trivia, point blank period. In that first opening scene, when they were talking about hockey, Teal'c says the Canucks of Vancouver are superior warriors. That year, the Canucks actually made it into the playoffs of the NHL, and they played that dialogue from this episode at all of their playoff games.
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
What a time. What a dream.
Right? Yeah, so I also like how upset Jack is that because I think that that's one of those moments where I don't think it was entirely scripted. And I think Richard Dean Anderson was just genuinely upset that Duke would not be part of like a Minnesota, Michigan team. Like, you know, because because a lot of Richard Dean Anderson, like a lot of Jack is just like Rick's actual personality.
Who were the Minnesota, Michigan teams for hockey? Because I know, like, I hate their football team.
Is Detroit's in Michigan? The Detroit Red Wings are the Detroit Red Wings are like a big.
Okay, that's true. I don't know a lot about hockey. Let me start there.
Richard Dean Anderson favorite hockey team.
Because I hate their football team.
The Minnesota Wild is in fact his favorite hockey
forgot
team.
about them too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I bet he loves the Vikings too. And that's just something we'll have to agree to disagree about. I'm ready for hockey season. I mean, not hockey season. Where are we at? Football season. I'm ready for football season. I understand it's July, but it's coming. and I'm back in Saints
Yeah.
World, so it'll be a good time.
I am in a new fantasy football league. The one that I was in last year, it was supposed to be a dynasty league, but like 8 of the 12 people dropped out.
Mm.
And so but
Is it
Dan's fan,
time for that yet?
no, the draft should be sometime in the next month. Yeah, because
Oh, okay.
like
Month though. Like I
yeah,
because they haven't
well,
said anything in my group.
preseason. No, our draft isn't set yet either. But preseason starts in September or in August.
Yeah.
So, um,
But we don't have fantasy for preseason. I think we usually do ours during preseason.
no. Fantasy's not during preseason, but like once preseason starts, the rosters are kind of figuring out, and you got to do your drafts around that time. Um,
Gotcha.
oh no, but Dan's family league, one of the people in his family league was his cousin's boyfriend, but they broke up, so there was a spot in the league. So I took it.
Guess who gets to be a part of it then?
All right. Do
Uh,
you have any thoughts, theories? I mean, you don't really have thoughts, theories, predictions because we've
0%.
already watched the next episode, but so who do you want to punch?
Herrock,
Perfect.
not
Right.
Hinrock.
I would like to punch Jay Felger because while he did save the day, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Who is your MVP?
Jack. He was just so witty this episode that
Jack is
just
the best this episode. It's really hard to pick anybody else, because no one really. But because you picked Jack, I'm gonna go with Teal purely for his takes on hockey.
Yeah, for sure.
And and the other thing when Jack was like, my joke, did it land? And Teal was like, no, it needs work. When Teal thinks your jokes aren't funny, you need work.
You need help with your jokes. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. So like I said, this episode is probably like an hour long, but 35 minutes of it have nothing to do with Stargate. I knew that we were gonna fly through the actual episode part of it.
Yeah. That's how the next episode's gonna be too, so it's fine.
Good luck for the next episode. We have nothing to say about the movie we watched. So tune in for that on Thursday.
It's gonna be great. I have a few fun things to say.
Fantastic.
Please listen to our episode.
Yes, yeah, I have a few fun things to say too. But basically, everything we have to say is fun. If don't even bother watching the movie, just watch the podcast.
Please don't watch the movie. Just watch the podcast.
Yeah. So if you would like to skip watching Hannibal Rising and just join us for the podcast, please do that. If you have any questions, concerns, thoughts, theories, way off on whether you think this episode is a dream or not.
Oh yeah,
that would be fun.
What day does this come out?
This episode will come out next Sunday, the 28th. So
great.
So we should
the 28th. We are okay. We're closer than this is September. Where am I?
Yeah. No, it's because we.
The 28th that's August. I'm trying really hard. Okay.
Yeah, we took a week off of recording, just so you guys know. Last week, Courtney and I both had fucking breakdowns and we did not record anything. So we haven't recorded in 2 weeks.
Yay.
So we're not as far ahead of schedule as we thought we were going to be at this point of the summer. It's fine.
Don't worry. We fixed it. We had a whole scheduling meeting earlier.
Yeah. So send your thoughts on whether it's a dream or not to deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can follow us on all of the social media at Death and Aliens. You can find me everywhere at ENKAY_superstar.
And you can find me at CECloud13.
And with that, we will see you on Thursday. Bye.